Hi friends, my name is Tara and I am the knitter, spinner, maker, fiber enthusiast behind Nest of Yarn. And this is my podcast where I get to talk all things fiber um, and share all the things I'm excited about, things that I've been working on, um, as well as keep myself accountable because I am constantly seeing things that I want to cast on or braids that I want to spin, and you gotta keep some semblance of start and finish. So yeah, if you are here watching, thank you. If this is your first time seeing me, hello. If you were here last time and watched all the way, subscribed, liked, thank you so much. This is a really personal project for me, to keep myself accountable, but also to insert myself into the fiber community at large. And I am just so happy to be able to talk about fiber and yarn and knitting and designs. And I really appreciate that you stopped by and listened for a while. Like, I really appreciate it. So thank you. Also, some of you I know, but a lot of you I don't know. So if you want to comment, say hi, introduce yourself, or even find me on Instagram. You can find me at Nest of Yarn. And say hi. I just want to get to know you. That's another part of this podcast, is to be part of a larger community. So yeah, say hi. I'll be glad to meet you virtually. It is a rainy afternoon in Minnesota. I'm not sure how this lighting is, if we're being honest. But these Fridays that I have off are my self-care days. And it's every other week. And talking about yarn and fibery goodness is part of my self-care. So I have a feeling this will be an every other week episode release schedule. Film Friday, released by Sunday. But yeah, so I'm just gonna push through. We'll see if the colors are really weird, but I'm gonna push through and film. Yeah, I guess we should jump in to what I'm wearing. I said that I would wear knitwear if it got cooler. I'm switching so that I can show you better. It did not get cooler, it got hotter. It is, or has been, in the 90s this entire week. And like 90s humid, oppressive heat, with some slightly rough air quality. But I'm wearing my Tip Top tank, designed by Emily Baldwin, and I put some stripes in. Her original version does not have stripes, but this pattern has a split hem, and if you do as suggested, you get this nice pearl detail on the side, with that same pearl structure going along the neckline. And I love this tank top. It is extremely cozy, very practical wear, and honestly, like, I'm mentioned this last podcast, but I'm knitting the Tip Top tank fine because it's so practical and elegant and looks good. And so I highly recommend this pattern. It's free on Ravelry, so if you have not checked out Emily Baldwin's Ravelry page, I would do that. I am not sure where else you can get access to this pattern. So I will do some research and see for anyone who is not able to get on Ravelry. But highly recommend this particular tank top. I knit while I had COVID. I was knitting all day, every day, once I felt well enough to do that. But I knit this up in, so I'm grabbing my yarn, Euroflax. Yeah, Euroflax by Louette. And I use 2 colors. This is natural, and this one is lilac. So, again, with the messy yarn balls. Hey, that's the life, right? 100% linen. It is so true. Like, it softens with wear. And I've worn this a couple times, and it's just so cozy. But yet light and breathable. So that's why on a 94-degree day, I have no problem wearing this. So that is what I am wearing right now. Progress. I mentioned this in episode 1, but for anyone who's new, I have 6 whips happening right now. That's a lot. I typically would not say that I knit on multiple projects at once, but somehow I got here. And so I've decided that I need to chunk it. I am working on 2 projects at this point in time, 2 knitting projects, and then spinning is probably taking up more time than it maybe should. Although, who needs shoulds and coulds in your life? Like, the spinning is bringing me joy, so I do that. But I really want to get these other projects done, so I think that's where my tension is. But the 2 projects that I've decided to focus on are my Tip Top Tank Fine and the Nurtured sweater for my mother-in-law by Andrea Mowry. So I will show you the progress I've made, which might not look like much, especially on the Tip Top Tank Fine, because it is fine. So here we go. I think I've made a couple inches of progress. Unlike the original version, I decided, unlike the original version, as in the one I'm wearing now, I decided the split hem would be equal length. But this one is being knit up in, there we go, in Isayer's Bomulin, and this is a gray color. And so I'm knitting this with the recommended needles, knitting the entire tank top in the recommended needles for the hem and the ribbing. Ooh. We need this rain, but that's a little loud. Sorry if you can hear it. Hopefully it's not too distracting. We shall see. Yeah, so I'm knitting this entire tank top in the US 3.25 millimeters, millimeter needles. For the body, it was supposed to go up to 3.5, but that was just a little too holy. So it's taking me a little bit longer. Definitely means I'm not mating gauge, but I'm just gonna follow the same pattern, keep going with it, and if I need to knit for, you know, a little bit more, that's fine. I'm familiar with the construction, so I will be able to smudge that through and make it into a tank top that I will probably knit in other colors wear just as much as I wear this one because it's that cozy. Yeah. So that is my Tip Top tank. I think I mentioned this, but I would consider myself to be a moderate pace knitter when I am not spread out over multiple projects. I make progress more quickly. But it has been nice to explore that, like, okay, this is what I knit when I'm at home. This is what I knit when I'm at work. This is what I do when I just don't want to think. And that's been kind of fun. So, yeah, on to the next object, progress. Kind of come up with something to refer to that as, because I'm sure there will be plenty of episodes here where I'm like, I'm making progress, but not necessarily finished. So, going on to the nurtured sweater, this is the body, and it was when I had to split for the sleeves that I just stopped. I just completely stopped working on it because I was like, I haven't knit a bottom up sweater in a while. I don't want to have to knit the sleeves and then join. Like, it was just a little bit of overwhelm. And so now I've come back to it. And I'm actually trying something different. A friend of mine knits her socks 2 at a time, and is currently knitting her sleeves for, I believe it's the Throw Over sweater by Andrea and Mowry, 2 at a time. And I was like, I gotta try that. Because I want to get this sweater done. And sleeves take a bit, you know? And yeah, maybe it takes like a little bit more time just to like set it up. But I could see myself getting in a rhythm and moving along. And, well, there's the sun. See how that looks. And that's exactly what's happened. Ignore the mess. They were in my project bag. I usually separate things out. But these are the sleeves for the Nurture sweater, and they're coming along. I am getting a rhythm. I am doing these increases. And I am really liking it. It's really nice to be able, it's a really helpful way to keep track of what you're doing, because you're at the same, you know you're doing the same thing for both sleeves. Sometimes you get a sleeve that's like, you know, just a little off. You missed an increase here. You forgot a row there. You know, you don't have that when you're working 2 at a time. And I think especially in this case, it's going to be really helpful. So I'm really liking it. I did check with my mother-in-law, because I'm the type of person that when I wear a sweater, I want that cuff line to be up so I can grab it, so I can like really cozy up. She is a bracelet length sweater wearer, so this is really good for me. She's a little bit taller than I am, and her arms therefore just a little bit longer. So I think I'll be able to knit this to the appropriate length so that it falls right at that bracelet length for her, which you know, that is a sensory thing. If it falls someplace where you don't want it to be, it drives you nuts. I've had sweaters that were too short, and so I just always wear them as like a 3/4 length sweater. Like, there is absolutely no chance that I will wear them down, because it will drive me nuts if they don't reach my palms. And I know it goes the same way if it's too far down. It just drives me nuts. So this is coming along. And maybe by next episode, 2 weeks, if I focus more on this than the spinning that I was doing in this last cycle, I think I could have these finished. I think that's very doable for me. You heard it here. And we will find out what happens here as well. Iced coffee. I think it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I just seem to be fully caffeinated when I make these podcasts. I hope that you have some form of beverage that is keeping you happy, whether it is coffee, tea, sparkling water, you know. If you're anything like me, you are sitting in your favorite chair, knitting or spinning away with like 3 beverages next to you. Beverage goblins are real. So that's the knitting progress that I've made. But I've also made spinning progress. And that makes me really happy. I have been obsessed with figuring out my e-spinner. I mentioned this last podcast. I recently purchased Electric Eel EEW 6.0. And it's incredible. Like, I haven't figured out the tension yet. I'm working on it. My spins are definitely not the most consistent, but it is so much fun. And I think that's the challenge of that is why I have been doing a lot of spinning. This is Andromeda in Targi, excuse me, by Nest Fiber. And those colors, they make me really happy. My goal for this is to do a combo spin. This is 4 ounces. I have another spin that I'm about halfway through, or close to being halfway through, on the e-spinner right now. And the more I see the colors coming out, I don't think it will be my combo spin. But the e-spinner also has way more bobbins than I have for my traditional Ashford traditional. So I have some wiggle room. I think I'll try one more 4-ounce braid and see if that is what I will combo spin with this or with the other spin that I have on the wheel, which is Spring Ahead. Excuse my face. Spring Ahead by Nest Fiber as well, but this one is on Falkland. And so I'm about halfway through, so it doesn't actually start with the greens, but just look at these colors. Like, I just really like them. They're so beautiful. Yeah. I'm enjoying them. For the Andromeda, I split it in half. And for the Spring Ahead, I am just spinning all the way through to get the longer color changes. So we will see. I'm not sure. I want to play around with color, but I don't know if I want to play around that much. But it's just, oh, and it's so soft. Yeah. I love it. I had a subscription to Nest Fiber for, I think, 4 months, 3 months? 3 months. And then I realized I wasn't spinning fast enough, and that was when I just had my traditional. So now that I have the e-spinner, I might try another subscription. I've also heard Hello Yarn is really good. I know Andrea Mowry uses that subscription a bunch. And there's also Paradise Fibers. Like, there are a lot out there. So if you have any recommendations, feel free to comment them below as well, because there are so many indie fiber dyers, fiber artists out there, and it's impossible to know every single one. But I'm open for suggestion. So, yeah, that is my progress. I guess this would technically be a finished object-ish. It's a set of singles, right? It's a bobbin full of single. A bobbin full of single. That's a good one. So we shall see what happens there. But I think it's time to move on to something I'm itching to cast on, but need to finish a whip. I just need to finish one whip, right? That was a very large swallow. This is my very large water bottle that I am thoroughly enjoying, as it has been very warm and it keeps my water very cool. But anyway, back to the object, the project, the pattern that I would like to cast on. It has taken the world by storm, as her patterns this time of year typically do. It's another Andrea Mowry. I love the Tessellated vest. It came out as the Tessellated vest and the Tessellated pullover. Both are exquisite. I have been wanting to knit a vest for myself for a while, and when I saw that style, it made me think of the second set of Spin Cycle yarns, dyed in the wool, that I have. Even dyed. Made me think of this, and I was like, as color changing yarn in the Tessellated vest, that could be cool. And then I was thinking about it more, and I have one caked up, and I was looking at that. I was like, what colors would I pair it with? Because the Tessellated vest and the Tessellated pullover have fluff as well as a main colors for weight yarn, right? So looking at this made me think, ooh, for fluff, what about this? It's a Dust Rose. This is Laying Yarns Alpaca Superlight. And I was trying to find the name of this colorway. I think it's just 66403. I think. Or maybe it's 0129. I don't know. But it's like these two together would be gorgeous. But then I was thinking, what would go well with some of these like forest teal, green, and blues, purples, and pink? Like, what would go well with that? Brown. This like gorgeous cocoa brown, which is Cascade 220 in 9675. I do appreciate the efficiency of numbering your colorways, but also it's nice to be like, I don't know, coffee bean and dusty rose, you know, both have their place. Anyway, though, these three together, I think will be beautiful. I'm really excited. That's like totally up my alley for a fall vest. And so I will continue to chip away at these other whips so that I can cast this on. The weight of the Lang Alpaca Superlight is just a little, like the yardage is a little different than the Odang or the Fua Fua. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I could always swatch. I always swatch if I'm test knitting. But when it's for myself, sometimes I just move on. So I think that this will be a great substitution though. It seems like it is a similar weight. It's just that the yardage is just a little different. So we will see. So I did buy 2 just in case. Everything else measured up. Yeah, to swatch or not to swatch? That is the question. To which most designers would say it is an easy answer. But sometimes you just want to get on the needles. You just want to go. We shall see. Anyway, that is kind of what's coming next once I make more progress. So I'm thinking of it as a motivator. This podcast keeps me accountable, and this next project keeps me motivated. We'll see if I can trick my brain into these things working out the way I want them to. But anyway, this podcast is definitely shorter than last time, which I think is a good thing. 53 minutes felt like a lot to me for talking. However, I will say that when Amy Palko's podcast came out last night, so today's Friday, July 28th, and when Amy Palko's podcast came out on Thursday, July 27th, and it was 2 hours and 19 minutes, I was so happy. So happy, so thankful. She mentioned it had been a bit since she podcasted, and no wonder. She'd been traveling and doing, living life. But it's always a joy to sit down and know that my evening activity is going to be listening and knitting along with Amy Palko. So also, another piece of gratitude from that podcast is that she's releasing a design on September 9th. Her Gallis, I was going to say sweater, not a sweater, it's a scarf. Her Gallis scarf is going to be coming out, and I genuinely think that it will pick up the same knitting vibe that the half and half triangle wrap does, that Jackie Rose from Caddy Jack's knits, that her shawl series, the Saturday Shrug series, her Saturday Shrug, Friday and Sunday Shrug too. There's something about a relatively straightforward but elegant knit that just catches you up. So I know that when it's released, I'm going to purchase it, and I think I'm going to knit one for my mom. Yeah, I think she would absolutely love that. And then I'll continue to knit one for myself, obviously. But so really excited for her. Very thankful for her podcast yet again. And then another podcast that I found recently was, I have it written down. Donna Smith Designs. And she's another Scottish yarn fiber artist. She lives in the Shetland Isles she lives on a farm and raises a flock of Shetland sheep. And together with her neighbors, they shear the sheep. They have it sent to a mill to be processed, and then it comes back to her and she dyes the yarn. And her podcast talks about her life on the farm, but also about her process in general as a knitwear designer, as a yarn dyer. And she does most of the dyeing naturally, which is really, really cool. So she doesn't have many podcasts out. She has two. One that's like 10 minutes. And it was, as someone who lives in the American Midwest, it was really, really fun to see glimpses of her life on the farm in Scotland, in the Shetland Isles. It was so cool. So, highly recommend if you have not checked that out. It definitely brought me a moment of respite and joy this week. So yeah, I was really thankful for that podcast as well. And beyond that, just general gratitude for my friends. I have a couple of really, really great friends who I've been able to spend time with in the past couple of weeks that I haven't spent time, like concentrated time with recently, just because of life. And it's been really good. Friends that appreciate creativity, that just appreciate being human and the ups and downs of that. Yeah, so feeling a lot of gratitude for that. Speaking of which, one of these friends told me about the book that I just finished. I actually already talked about her, I believe, in this episode. My good friend Katie told me about Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarrow. For anyone who is new to this episode, I am a librarian, and therefore I am crafting my way through life while listening to audiobooks, because what better way to combine your two loves, reading and crafting, doing them at the same time. Yeah, that's my MO. I am almost always listening to an audiobook while I craft, and recently it was Fourth Wing, and I would say that I would have said, let me start over. It was a 20-hour book, I think. It was 20 hours. And then when I got down to 13 hours, I was like, there's only 13 hours left. And then when I got down to 5 hours, I was like, there's only 5 hours left. I just crushed it. I just listened to it almost day and night. I stayed up till 2 a.m. on a work night. Not wise. Would not recommend. That was a little tricky. But it was so good. It is a spicy fantasy romance. Definitely in that realm. So be mindful. I warned you. But it does it all so well. It is essentially Dragon Academy, dragon riders in a world with intense political intrigue and rebellion, and the character growth that happens, the twists, the turns, the chemistry. It was all fantastic. Yeah, I highly recommend it. And now I'm going to be chasing my next adrenaline rush like that book gave me, which I have a couple of books in mind. So I will be talking about them next episode. But yeah, Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarrow, librarian approved, teen and up. Teen at your own discretion. I should cut that. You can read it however you want to. I just want it to be known. Yeah. Let me start that over. Anyway, Rebecca Yarrow, fourth wing, librarian approved. Yeah. Anyway, that is my podcast for today. I'm so glad that the sun came out. Yeah, feels good to end this podcast on a sunny note. And if you join me again for this or join me for the first time, thank you. Thank you for lasting this long. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful couple of weeks of creating and leaning into your fiber enthusiasm.